Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Mr. Fincham's Fireside Follow-Alongs. Today, we are going to be continuing on with Explorers of North America. Today, we're going to start on Chapter 4. But before we do that, as always, we are going to review quickly the questions that go along with today's reading. So, the reading and writing task. Why did European explorers search for the Northwest Passage? So we are going to learn about, as you can see here, in search of the Northwest Passage. Why did they look for it? Why are they looking for it? And the text-to-self connection. Look at the supply list on page 31. If you could only bring 2 more things that are not electronic on your exploration, what would they be and why? So on page 31, there is going to be a list of supplies that explorers usually brought with them. If you can add only 2 more things, and keep in mind, they cannot be electronic. It can't be a phone. It can't be a flashlight. It can't be something like that. Just 2 more things. What would they be and why? And the extension. What do these 2 texts have in common, and how are they different? So, there is a video on Henry Hudson. I just added it to the extra ELA videos section of our YouTube channel, so make sure you guys check that out. Without any further wait, we're just going to jump right into it. So we're going to start on Chapter 4, page 23, In Search of the Northwest Passage. While looking for the Northwest Passage, English explorer Henry Hudson nearly reached the North Pole. Here's a drawing of Henry Hudson right here. Europeans still wanted to find a way to reach Asia by traveling west. Some explorers searched North America for a water route connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. They called this route the Northwest Passage. So if you guys think back about the Silk Road, if you're in Europe and you want to travel to Asia or you want to trade some supplies to Asia, you have to use the Silk Road. It is long, it is dangerous, it is time consuming, right? So what they wanted to do is find a shorter way. Maybe instead of traveling all the way east, maybe there's a quicker way if they just go west, right? So that's what they were out to try to find. To save time, save money, and save lives. That was pretty much the goal, right? Page 24. Finding fool's gold. I had some fool's gold when I was in elementary school. I really enjoyed having it. I didn't realize that it wasn't worth as much. I didn't really know it was fool's gold until an adult told me. But I remember lugging that thing around all day. Man, I loved it. All right, so finding fool's gold. Jacques Cartier sailed west from France in 1534. He arrived at the mouth of the St. Lawrence River in what is now Canada. There, Cartier met the Iroquois. They told him tales of a wealthy kingdom. Cartier's men searched for it. They found what they thought were gold and diamonds. They were wrong. Their gold was a shiny mineral called fool's gold. Their diamonds were made from a sparkly mineral called quartz. Here's a painting. This painting shows Jacques Cartier and his men at the mouth of the St. Lawrence River. They came across many native people on their journey. So, have you ever heard the expression, all that glitters ain't gold? Right? It means everything. What it means is if something is very shiny, it's very eye-catching, it's glittery, it's fun to look at, doesn't mean it's worth anything, right? And that's true literally, and it's true kind of figuratively, too. Diamonds, gold, they find things that look like it, but they're not real. And here they are greeting the Native Americans. And remember, exploring is extremely dangerous. They run into tribes, they run into diseases, they run into places where they can't get food or water, they're wildlife. It's a dangerous journey, right? So now we're going to go on to page 25. So here is Jacques Cartier's route. So, he in 1534 he traveled west, New France, landed here, back up the Lawrence River. Little caption here for the image. At 1,900 miles, or a little over 3,000 kilometers long, the St. Lawrence is one of the world's 25 longest rivers. It does not reach the Pacific Ocean, as Cartier had hoped. So, this is the Atlantic Ocean. They want to find a way all the way to the Pacific Ocean. So they're hoping that the river would go all the way through. It doesn't. It stopped. Cartier followed the St. Lawrence River. He was hoping the river would bring him to the Pacific Ocean. It did not. But Cartier saw many animals along the river. Later, French fur traders would come to trap some of these animals. So, it doesn't pan out. It doesn't go all the way to the Pacific Ocean, but he spots animals that could be worth something. So at least he found something of value. 26. Rebellion on the Discovery. An Englishman named Henry Hudson tried to find the Northwest Passage in 1609. Hudson sailed far, far to the north. He was so far north that he nearly reached the North Pole. He was stopped by the ice and the cold. Hudson then tried to find a route to Asia through the middle of North America. They found what is now called New York Harbor. So here's another image. Looks like they are running into some natives here. Read the little caption for the picture. In 1609, Henry Hudson searched for a water route across North America. Here, Native Americans near the mouth of the Hudson River go forward in canoes to welcome him. So, the natives are welcoming him. They're being nice. We're going to go to page 27. Read the little caption for the picture up here first. Let's take a look at it. Notice the icebergs, stuff in the back. Hudson's son John was only a teenager when he cast adrift at sea. Father and son were lost forever. Hudson thought he had finally found his passage. He sailed up the river that now bears his name, the Hudson River. He sailed as far as Albany, New York. He was forced to turn back because the river became too narrow for his ship. 1 year later, Hudson tried again. His ship, the Discovery, reached Hudson Bay in Canada. The ship became trapped by ice. He and his sailors camped for months in the cold. In the spring, his crew wanted to go home. Hudson refused, so the crew rebelled. They put Hudson, his son, and 7 others in a boat. They gave them no food or water. Then they set them adrift. Hudson was never seen again. So, if you think back to some of the other readings that we had, there was a word that was being thrown around called mutiny. And a mutiny is when you have a ship filled with men, right? And the captain starts to do things that the crew doesn't agree with. Or maybe the crew doesn't like the captain's plan anymore. Or they just don't have faith in the captain. They don't trust him. There's a bunch of different reasons why the men of a ship can decide to go against the captain, right? That's called a mutiny. So basically a mutiny happened on Mr. Hudson's ship because he didn't want to go back. So what do? They put him in a boat, him and a few others, including his son, and they just pushed him out into the open water and went on their way. And that is how the demise of Mr. Hudson happened. Scary stuff. We're going to go to page 28. Cook tries another route. James Cook served in the British Navy. From 1768 to 1771, he explored the South Pacific. He and his men were the first Europeans to find Australia. But the British were still eager to find a new route to Asia. The government offered a huge cash prize to any explorer who could find the Northwest Passage. In 1776, Cook gave it a try. So the British government says, hey, if you guys can find a passage, or the Northwest Passage from the Atlantic to the Pacific, they're gonna give you, they would give you a huge cash reward, right? This was happening in 1776. So why is that year important? That was the year the United States became a thing, 1776. And here's another picture of James Cook's route, right? Let's read the little caption here in the red letters. James Cook's last exploration took him to many places. Starting from England, he and his crew sailed to New Zealand, Tahiti, Hawaii, and Alaska. Now we're going to go to page 29. Let's take a look at this picture here. This is the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal allows ships to travel between the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. It took 10 years to build the canal, which is 48 miles, or 77 kilometers, long. First paragraph. He sailed south from England around Africa, then headed east toward North America. Cook sailed up the west coast, searching for the passage. He didn't find it. On the way back home, he stopped in Hawaii. There, Cook was killed fighting with native peoples. Explorers never found a way to sail across the Americas, so people built one in Central America. It's called the Panama Canal. It opened in 1914. So some people think that the creation of the Panama Canal is one of the most impressive things that humans have ever constructed. It is quite, it's quite the accomplishment, honestly. Maybe I should look up some videos and see if we can put those on the extra ELA questions and tasks section as well, just so you guys can see the construction of it and how many men it took and just the sheer size of it. It's pretty crazy. Then we're going to go to page 30. Whoa, it kind of flipped on me here. Okay. Sorry, guys. I don't know why this is flipping. Uh-oh. All right, you might just have to turn yours. For some reason, this one is sideways. All right, so here is the list. That's the supply list. Okay, so bear with me for the way that it's set up. But the first, a traveling library, a dictionary, at least 2 books about classifying plants, at least 2 books about astronomy, a map of the Missouri River. So, why might you need a book classifying plants? Well, so that way you don't eat poisonous things on your way. Food is not easy to come by. So when you find plants with berries, you want to make sure they're the right ones you can eat. We live in Washington State, and most of you know that there are berries on trees that are red. They look like maybe you can eat them, but if you eat them, you get really sick, right? So it's important to have a book about what kind of plants there are, right? And 2 books about astronomy. Why would they be worried about the stars and things like that if they're traveling on land? Well, some of you remember from Road to Freedom the North Star, right? Keeping track of constellations can help guide you in what direction you're traveling as well. So, and presents for Native Americans. 144 small mirrors, 4,600 sewing needles, 144 small scissors, Jefferson Peace medals, 8 brass kettles, 10 pounds of thread, silk ribbons, 33 pounds of tiny beads. So these are gifts that they would give the Native Americans, right? So, and again, keep this list in mind for when we go back to review our questions, okay? And here is some more supplies. Again, I'm sorry about the way this is sideways here, but the big truth, packing for the unknown. You're taking a 2-year trip into the wilderness. What do you pack? Meriwether Lewis and William Clark were going to explore a new part of the United States. They had $2,500 to spend. Here are some things that they bought. a telescope, compasses to tell them their direction, thermometers, 150 yards, or 137 meters, of doth to make tents and sheets. That's enough to cover 1.5 football fields. It looks like there's a little typo here. That's not how you spell it. Enough. Pliers, chisels, and handsaws. Hatchets, 15 rifles. 420 pounds of steel to make bullets. 176 pounds of gunpowder. 30 steels, pieces of metal used to start fires. A corn mill to grind corn. 24 tablespoons, shoes and socks, mosquito nets. 10 pounds of fishing line and fishing hooks, 12 pounds of soap, 193 pounds of portable soap, a paste made from portable soup, a paste made from beef, eggs, and vegetables, 3 bushels of salt, paper, ink, and crayons, 45 flannel shirts, and woolen pants. So before we sign off for the day, we are going to review the questions that go along with today's reading. Again, I'm sorry that these are sideways. That's very odd. I don't know why it's doing that, but I'm sure you guys can bear with it. So, the reading and writing task. Why did European explorers search for the Northwest Passage? And then the text to self-connection. Look at the supply list on page 31. If you could bring only 2 more things that are not electronic on your exploration, what would they be, and why? And the extension. What do these 2 texts have in common, and how are they different? Again, feel free to check out the Henry Hudson video on the Extra ELA video section of our YouTube channel. That is it for me today. As always, feel free to shoot me a message or a seesaw. Let me know what you guys think about the story so far. Any questions, wonderings, I love to hear from you guys. And that's it for today. Until next time, bye-bye.